Hey everyone, Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler, brings a fresh spin to vampire lore without sacrificing what horror fans love. Instead, it understands its core story and characters, which allows Sinners to honor the genre by giving us something that feels fresh while naturally building upon the lore in an additive way that is exciting and new. Given the film's 1920 setting and the focus on Black characters, Sinners could have easily fallen into the trap of overt messaging, something that often feels forced when a director doesn't let the story speak for itself. But Ryan Coogler had a vision. He understood the story this film really wanted to tell and elevated it. A story about a dark night in the South when music and myth collide. The juke joint becomes the arena where humans and vampires face off, as one man's guitar playing turns into the most dangerous and the most desired thing in the world for a very old vampire.
What the hell going on?
Oh, we heard tale of a party.
While issues of race and gender are present, they take a back seat to survival and community, as Sinners does what great storytelling should do. It shows us something about ourselves in the most entertaining and interesting way possible. Sinners is a sexy, sultry, dangerous story about vampires in the Deep South that brings new life to an old legend on a hot summer night. Filled with the blues played so true that it cut the veil between life and death, as the film says, just enough for the devil to knock on the juke joint's door. Set in Mississippi, Sinners follows Sammie, a talented musician and singer affectionately known as Preacher Boy, who is torn between the expectations of his strict preacher father and his own passion for music. His life shifts when his older cousins, twin brothers, Smokestack, return home from Chicago, where they built reputations in the criminal underworld and came back with a vision to open a juke joint. They bring Sammie in to play guitar, setting the stage for a memorable opening night. Drawn in by the sound of Sammie's music, the film takes a turn when a group of eerie strangers shows up at the door, requesting a personal invitation to enter. Rather than diving straight into the horror, Sinners takes its time letting us connect with the characters first, because at its core, this film, it's all about character, and the actors playing these roles are fantastic. Sammie, played by Miles Caton, in his first role ever, I should say, is exceptional as a young blues musician trying to break away from his preacher father's expectations. There's a hopefulness in Sammie that mirrors his music, which is so soulful. It taps into the supernatural, linking past and present and future. His twin cousins, Smoke and Stack, both played by Michael B. Jordan, return home as the prodigal sons, bringing back money, war experience from World War I, and Chicago street smarts. Their dream is to open the best juke joint in Mississippi with undeniable charisma. They draw in people, turning their checkered past into local legend as they hustle toward opening night. Then there's Remmick, the ancient Irish vampire, played by Jack O'Connell. He's brash but charismatic, a visionary whose presence brings a different kind of energy to the film. Jack O'Connell gives Remmick a weary, ancient power that immediately establishes him as a wily survivor who won't go down easily and who can hold his own against anyone in the film. Beneath the surface, Sinners really explores masculinity with a nuance. Smoke and Stack, they move through the world with a swagger that exudes this toughness and this confidence. And Sammie, by contrast, leads with this vulnerability and hope. And then there's Delroy Lindo, who just shines in a small, but really memorable role, grounding the film in Southern musical tradition with his steady style, his soul, and his presence. That contrast between the men adds texture to what it means to be a man in this time and this place. The women in Sinners, they aren't just supporting roles either. Annie brings this ancestral wisdom and protection, attuned to the shifting energy in the air. And Mary adds complexity around identity and legacy, especially as someone navigating multiple cultures. In addition, Grace Chow, she brings business savvy and family first sensibilities to this cast of characters. And together, these women really ground the story with more than just the emotional side of the film. They bring this savvy, this sense of community together with them and with their male counterparts in the film, and it just all works together. Sinners really blends history and music and mythology so seamlessly that they feel inseparable. Set in the era of Al Capone, machine guns, and sharecroppers, the film captures a time in which people are technically free but still bound by circumstance, no matter who you are or what you desire, even if you're a vampire. What makes the story so compelling is how the supernatural bridges cultures and folklore, bringing together an Irish immigrant, Southern whites, Black sharecroppers, and Native Americans into one shared moment of reckoning that is sparked by a vampire's twisted hope and hunger for the future. That hope is channeled through music, which becomes a supernatural conduit across cultures. Ryan Coogler draws on the traditions of the griot, the Cherokee, and even the bard, who are all legendary storytellers whose music and tales transcend life and death. Sammie taps into this archetype, connecting the past, present, and future in a way that's so powerful and so soulful that it calls to spirits. His father warned him that such music might draw the devil, and in a sense, it kind of does. Only here, the devil is a very old vampire searching for a connection to his past. It's Sammie's gift that offers him that connection. And the blues music with the Irish reels and ballads really do create something new. That infusion of narrative power deepens the film's lore, making Sammie's music not just a performance, but a binding force that unites everybody in this story. The vampires, they aren't just thirsty for blood, they long for connection. Music isn't just ambience either, it's the force that links past and future together, awakening the old vampire's hunger for something more meaningful, like a tangible tether that connects him to his past and even to the future. And you feel it in every performance, especially in Sammie's guitar playing in this one scene in particular that is an absolute standout in the film. Totally my favorite part. Sinners honors the traditional vampire mythology while modernizing the lore. We still get the classics, the stakes, the sunlight, silver, garlic, and the invitation rule, along with a few fresh twists beyond just the music. The turning process is a little different. The transformation, it requires something else. I don't want to say anything to spoil things, but it really does heighten the urgency, especially with the story unfolding over a single day. Then there's Annie, Smoke's wife, who is part herbalist, part witch, and whose power is kind of grounded in protection spells and ancestral knowledge. And when things start to feel wrong, she's the one that really steps up. She's kind and smart and really makes her one of the most useful characters in the film. What stands out most in Sinners is its character development within the greater themes of the story. Sammie's journey as he tries to embrace his music while stepping out from his father's shadow mirrors the universal struggle to carve our own path in life. Even when the vampire arrives, the focus isn't just on horror, but on what its presence means emotionally and socially for a being who longs for family and connection and somehow belonging in the living world. Because of Sammie's music, performance in this film really becomes something more. His sound is a lifeline for a vampire adrift in time, and it's the closest thing to feeling alive again. And the way Sammie plays isn't just music. It's like reenacting memory. It's a bridge between life and death, creating a momentary touch to the eternal that really grounds the vampire in the present as well as the past. The juke joint really becomes more than just a venue. It feels kind of like a character. It's a sanctuary or a sacred space for healing, rhythm, and fellowship of the soul. And music essentially replaces the pulpit in a way because this film really is grounded in the mystical and in the religious. And the music kind of threads that through. And every note becomes kind of a prayer, especially when Sammie plays. Sinners is a new addition to the canon of vampire films, falling kind of neatly between Abigail and Nosferatu. I loved Abigail because it was fast and it was brutal and it was fun while adding its own modern touches to the lore. Nosferatu, on the other hand, amplifies the established Victorian aesthetic and reinvigorates the eerie, creeping dread that is iconic within the genre. With Sinners, we get a film that evolves the aesthetic with a mix of sensuality, history, and the visceral struggle for survival. While it may not feature the refined sophistication of the traditional European vampire, Remmick brings this wild and wicked hope to the story as the Irish vampire who hungers for an anchor in time. The biggest issue in Sinners is its runtime, with 2 hours and 17 minutes. While the pacing is generally steady, it's that middle stretch that becomes kind of a slow burn and it starts to feel long as you wait for the vampires to show up. However, a few of the scenes really could have been trimmed to tighten the narrative, but doing so, it might have weakened the emotional depth overall. Still, the film kind of earns its pacing because it makes us care about every character, even the vampire. That's a lot for one review, and I have tried to avoid spoilers, but I'd love to dig into those in the comments. So, Sinners, it is a fun and sensual horror story that breathes new life into the bloody old vampire trope. It's definitely ticket worthy, though it's not for everyone. If you don't like horror and you don't like vampires, this isn't going to change your mind. While there's little to no nudity, the sex scenes make it inappropriate for young children. And that said, Sinners has a broad appeal, especially for music lovers, for fans of historical settings, and adults who appreciate smartly written action dramas, and for fans of vampire stories. So yeah, Sinners is 100% ticket worthy on the big screen. Just don't leave early because there is a killer mid-credits scene and a final song at the very end by Miles Carton that makes it all worth staying for. And yes, the music is so good that I'm actually thinking about going out and buying the soundtrack. So I want to know what you thought of Sinners. Have you seen it yet? Are you planning to? Let me know in the comments below, where I think it's fine to discuss spoilers as needed. So be sure to leave a comment and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know you're here. And hey, while you're here, why not watch one of these other videos? All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for viewing. I'll see y'all again soon. In the meantime, happy viewing. Bye.